Alrighty, people, I'm back. Like I said in my last video, I am going to be touching up on my old post about nuclear energy and stuff like that. Because yeah, everybody the rave today is get away from oil, blah blah blah, and whatever bullshit. Recently, there's been talk of cap and trade, which I haven't studied it that much, but from my understanding, and you guys feel free to correct me, is that they trap the carbon emissions from like coal plants and whatnot, and they, from what little I understand of it, from hearing everybody talk about it, is they sell it off or something. Now, feel free to correct me or link me to a page that I can, say, oh, that's how it is. But oh God, I have a benzene headache. Too many fucking cigarettes today. Another thing is, I've read an article for something about Chinese, or I think it was the Chinese government was making or it might have been Japanese. One of those two people, they're awesomely smart. They're making this technology where they capture all of the carbon, or right now it's only 10% of the carbon emissions from plants and stuff, and then they will, I guess, bottle it up, package it up, however they do it, and send it deep into the earth. And what they're wanting to try to do is for the again, what little I've read of the document or the info, because it was on Yahoo, and you know how abridged they make them, is to try to bring up older oil reserves up to the surface. And I think I want to say by the year 2025 or 2050, one of those, 2020 to 2050, that they're going to be able to capture up to 90% of the carbon emissions and safely store them away, and just get rid of them. My biggest thing is, if people are having problems with trash and all this other, nuclear waste and stuff like that, okay, it's not good to say, but there is a big, huge dumping ground around us. It's called outer space. Build a pretty good rocket, time it, fill it up with all the shit that you don't want on Earth, time it so that it shoots towards the sun, and hopefully by the time it gets close enough to the sun, all the, everything will be disintegrated, and hopefully that the Earth won't get extra mass. I found this little blog. It was back in 2006. Something about Greenpeace admits nuclear power is safe, and it only took them 30 years. People are griping about Chernobyl and what is it, Ellis Island, or I don't remember something, 3 Mile Island. Something happened. It wasn't like Chernobyl, but I guess they lost containment for a set amount of time. Let me check my time real quick. Okay, good. Talking quick today. And Americans are like, oh, nuclear power is so dangerous. Waste it'll contaminate the earth for thousands and billions of years or whatever. People make excuses because they won't make money off of it. It says nuclear energy. I guess these are the pros and cons of it. I should have read it before I started talking. Let's say I'm going to read it quick. Feel free to pause it and read it for yourself. Watch this in high quality and full screen, because I'm at 1920 by 1200 or 1700 or some absurdly big thing. All right, more than 600 coal-fired electric plants in the United States produce 36% of U.S. emissions, or nearly 10% of global emissions of CO2. Primary greenhouse responsible for climate change. Nuclear energy is the only large-scale, cost-effective energy source that can reduce these emissions while continuing to satisfy a growing demand for power. Yes, everybody is having a growing demand of energy or electricity anywhere. Just look at the internet. I have Comcast right now, and they have a 500 gigabyte download cap for a month. Where I used to live in Dalton, Georgia, a company called Dalton Utilities, they had offered fiber optics at like 3 meg, 6 meg, and like some godly high up number like 15 or 20 megabit, not byte, I'm sorry, and they never had a cap. But that's, bandwidth is something that is increasingly going smaller. Let's see, nuclear energy is expensive. And this is what he writes, and I'll say my thoughts on it. I'll go real quick, or you can just pause it and read it for yourself. It is, in fact, one of the least expensive energy sources. In 2004, the average cost of producing nuclear energy in the United States was less than 2% kilowatt hour. Comparable with coal and hydroelectric. Advances in technology will bring the cost down further in the future. I think right now we could safely expand on nuclear power up to at least 50% of our demands, especially out in California with the brownouts, and I know some places around here are getting expensive in Georgia. Nuclear power plants are not safe. Although 3 Mile Island was a success story, the accident at Chernobyl 20 years ago this month was not. Chernobyl was an accident waiting to happen. Early model of Soviet reactor had no containment vessel. Okay, if you don't have a containment for the shit you're putting in there to try to get energy, it's gonna fucking melt down. We, as Americans, using probably Chinese and Japanese technology, or at least their help, we're awesome. I don't know. No one has died of a radiation-related accident in the history of the United States civilian nuclear reactor program. In the history of the U.S. Civilian nuclear reactor program. Although hundreds of uranium mine workers did die from the radiation exposure underground in the early years of that industry, that problem was long ago corrected. I still am a #1 supporter of nuclear energy, any atomic energy. I wish fusion, like cold fusion, would come around and be safe. People are wary of new science and new technologies just because they're more comfortable with old ones like coal and electric. Just because coal and electric, you can get a lot of money off of it. I mean, like prices of for gallon, like oil. I mean, shit. Where I live right now, it was $2.25 when I moved down here in Rome. And the past 2 weeks, it has shot up to $2.54, and now just barely jumped down to $2.49. And that's because supposedly our dollar is shit, while everybody else's is good. And I don't agree with that. Continuing on, nuclear waste will be dangerous for thousands of years. Within 40 years, used fuel has less than 1/1000th of the radioactivity it has when it is removed from the reactor. And it isn't correct to call it waste because 95% of the potential energy is still contained in the used fuel after the first cycle. Now that the U.S. has removed the ban on recycling used fuel, it will be possible to use that energy and to greatly reduce the amount of waste that needs treatment and disposal. Last month, Japan joined France, Britain, and Russia in nuclear fuel recycling business. The United States will not be far behind. We are slow. I like America, okay. I don't vote or whatever, but we are slow. We are behind the times in a lot of things. Making good movies, making good anime, video games. Hell, our science is lagging, our math is lagging, and this is just another thing that we're behind. Other people will put their foot out and say, oh, we're going to make a power plant. In America, last I read, it took 10 years just for the plans to get approved through Congress or whatever. That's entirely too fucking long to get energy. But people seem to say, oh, there's oil over in Iraq. I'm not going to go there. You guys can draw your conclusions where I was going to go with that. Now, oil is the big thing. I want to say within my lifetime, I'm only 24. I will be 25 in February. I want to say within the next 25 to 30 years of my life, when I'm about 60, the oil reserves on this earth are going to be dangerously low, and it's going to take some major ass kicking for the governments, all governments, to start pitching in and doing more, not for the earth, but for the humans. While we are on this earth, we need to take care of ourselves, and then we need to take care of the earth. But my video is running long. I will catch you guys later.